Three armed thugs took a local diner hostage, completely unaware that deadly Navy SEAL was drinking coffee in the corner booth.
They thought everyone was a helpless victim, until the quiet man closed his book and dismantled the entire gang in seconds.
The terrifying operator used a simple glass sugar dispenser and his bare hands to crush the thieves before fading away.
Secret Navy SEAL hides in Dinah the Diner is a pocket of morning light, humming with the smell of weak coffee and frying bacon. In a corner booth, tucked away from the door, a man sits alone. We will call him John. His hands, resting on the chipped tabletop, are a picture of perfect stillness. One cups a thick ceramic mug. The other lies flat beside a worn paperback. When he lifts the mug, the motion is fluid, precise, no wasted energy. He sips, his eyes quietly, constantly scanning the room. This is not a nervous darting. It is a slow, methodical sweep, the kind of gaze that does not just see, it assesses. He clocks the family in the center booth, the student with her laptop, the old couple bickering by the counter. He is a ghost at the feast, a man so deliberately unremarkable, he is almost invisible. But in the quiet tension in his shoulders, there is a story. The real hook isn't what he is doing. It is what he is so clearly not doing. He is a coiled spring in a world full of triggers. The bell over the door jingles, admitting a draft, and the local sheriff, a man whose gut is waging a victorious battle against his uniform buttons. "Morning, Sarah," he booms, his voice a size too big for the room. The waitress, Sarah, offers a tired smile. She is in her late 20s, but a certain resilience keeps her moving. Sheriff Brody, the usual, you know it, and a glazed donut. Brody plops onto a stool, with his back to the room, his attention already snagged by the small TV murmuring on a shelf. A local reporter is standing before a taped-off gas station. The banner reads, "Armed robberies plague county." Brody scoffs. "Amateurs, probably kids." Sarah sets a coffee before him. "They say they are violent, Sheriff. The clerk was hurt badly." "Everyone is a critic," he grumbles, tearing his eyes from the screen. "We have it under control." From his corner, John watches. His gaze flicks to the television. He has seen violence. Real violence. The efficient, sickening kind that leaves a stain you can never wash out. For a split second, the scent of bacon is gone, replaced by salt and diesel. The clatter of plates becomes the sharp clang of a weapons locker. He shoves the memory down, back into the dark box, where he keeps the man he used to be. He opens his eyes, focusing on the meaningless words in his book. They are an anchor to this world, this quiet life he fought so hard to find. The diner hums on. An elderly couple argues about a cruise from 40 years ago. "It was the Bahamas, Helen, not Bermuda." "You lose every hat, George," she replies, with the fond resignation that only comes from a long, shared life that a student in another booth types furiously, lost in her own world of deadlines. Sarah moves between tables with practiced grace, stopping at John's booth. "More coffee?" He looks up and his eyes meet hers. They are a clear, startling blue, but they look ancient like a frozen lake. "No, thank you. I am fine." His voice is a low rumble, as if speaking requires effort. She hesitates. She has seen him every morning for 6 months. Same booth, same order, same book. She has noticed the jagged scar that peeks out from his sleeve. She has noticed he never, ever sits with his back to the door. As a single mother working double shifts, she knows what it means to be wary. But his watchfulness is different. It isn't fear. It is something harder. "Well, let me know," she says, retreating with a small smile. He gives a slight nod, his gaze already sweeping the room again. He is a guardian on a wall nobody else can see. He watches a father trying to get his little girl, maybe 4 or 5, to eat her pancakes. The girl giggles, syrup smeared on her cheek. The mother watches them, her face soft with love. John feels a pang of something, a longing for a life he can only watch, never have. Peace is a fragile thing. He knows that better than anyone. He drains his mug. The coffee is lukewarm and bitter. He should leave, go back to his small, empty apartment, his fortress of solitude, but he stays. He stays because this diner feels like a part of the world he is trying to rejoin. He watches Sarah wipe down the counter, watches the old couple leave, watches the student rub her tired eyes. This is the normal world. Messy, beautiful, and worth protecting. A world he no longer belongs to. He picks up his book, forcing himself to read. Just a quiet man in a corner, trying to disappear. The bell jingles again. This time, the sound is all wrong. It is not a cheerful chime. It is sharp, violent, cutting through the diner's warm hum like broken glass point. Three men step inside. John does not move. His posture does not change, but his focus, once a wide, passive scan, narrows to a razor's edge. You don't need to see a weapon to know these men are weapons. It is in the predatory way they move, so out of place among the coffee cups and syrup. The one in the lead is tall and thin, with cold eyes that seem to suck the light from the room. He wears a stained leather jacket and a smirk. Behind him, a mountain of muscle in a hoodie cracks his knuckles. The third is younger, nervous, his eyes darting everywhere, a hand tucked inside his jacket, that a sudden dead silence falls. Sheriff Brody turns on his stool, his mouth open to say something he would never get the chance to. The lead man moves with shocking speed. He is at the door, flipping the lock with a loud click. He turns the smirk on and pulls a matte black pistol from his jeans. Everybody down. Now. The big man pulls a bulky revolver. The young one, fumbling, produces a smaller pistol, his hand shaking. Panic. The student gasps. The little girl starts to cry. Her mother pulls her close, shielding her. George tries to stand for his wife, but she pulls him back down, her face pale. I said on the floor. The big man bellows. Sheriff Brody, his face a mix of disbelief and raw fear, slowly raises his hands. His own gun is a useless weight on his HIP and his corner. John is a statue of calm in a sea of chaos. But in his head, a storm of calculation is brewing. 3 hostiles, 3 guns, 1 blocked exit, maybe 1 out the back, through the kitchen. 8 hostages counting the sheriff, all soft targets, and so is he. A quiet guy with a book. That is his camouflage. To act is to reveal himself, to lose the one thing he has left, his quiet, anonymous peace. Stay down, he tells himself. Be a victim. This isn't your fight. Not anymore. The leader walks calmly through the diner. Phones. Wallets. In the bag, he says, tossing a canvas duffel onto a table. The young one follows, his trembling gun almost more dangerous than the others. From his booth, John watches. His mind runs on 2 tracks. One is tactical. Distances, angles, potential weapons like a heavy sugar dispenser, steak knife, or the boiling coffee pot. The other track is a war. The instinct to stay hidden versus the instinct to protect. He had made a promise to himself. No more violence. No more death. The thugs move with an ugly rhythm. They reach the elderly couple. George hesitates. It's got pictures of my grandchildren, he says, his voice shaking. The leader laughs, a short, humorless bark. I am sure they are beautiful. Now, give it to me before I give your wife something new to cry about. He presses the muzzle of his gun to George's temple. Defeated, George drops the wallet in the bag that John's jaw tightens. He feels the cold resolve forming in his stomach, an old, familiar feeling, like ice water in his veins. Not yet, he thinks. Not yet. The leader looms over the family. The little girl is crying uncontrollably. Shut that kid up, the big man yells. She is just a child. The mother pleads. The leader ignores her, his dead eyes on the father. Wallet, watch. The father slowly complies. Next is Sarah. Behind the counter, hands raised. Her face is a mask of terror, but her eyes are defiant. The leader vaults over the counter. Open the register, he commands. Her hands shake as she fumbles with the keys. There is not much. We just opened. I will be the judge of that, he purrs, grabbing a handful of her hair and yanking her head back. And if you are lying, a low growl rumbles in John's chest. He swallows it. He sees the flash of pain in Sarah's face, but also her unbroken will. She doesn't scream. The leader shoves her aside and scoops out the cash. He is not satisfied. The safe. Where is the safe? There is no safe, Sarah says, her voice steady, even with the gun at her cheek. This is a diner, not a bank. A crash comes from the kitchen. The cook, Sal, has made a run for the back door. The young thug spins and fires. The shot is deafening. It goes wide, shattering a row of plates. The fragile line has been crossed. A shot has been fired. They are losing control. The leader is furious. You idiot! No noise. But the big man loves the chaos. He strides toward the family, toward the shrieking little girl. I told you to shut that kid up, he roars, raising his hand to strike. The father throws himself between them. Don't you touch her. For his courage, he gets a brutal pistol whip to the side of the head. He crumples to the floor. His wife screams, and that is it. The line is gone. An innocent man protecting his child is down. For John, the world goes silent. The screams, the crying, the shouts, it all fades to a dull roar. There's no more debate. The promise he made to himself was a luxury he can no longer afford. The quiet man in the corner is gone. In his place is something else entirely. He calmly places his book face down on the table. He takes one last, slow sip of his cold coffee and sets the mug down with a quiet, deliberate click. He is no longer hiding. He is hunting. John rises from the booth. The movement is so quiet that at first no one notices. Hey! On the floor. The young thug finally shrieks, swinging his pistol toward him. That John's voice is calm and low, but it cuts through the chaos. Leave them alone. Well, the leader smirks. Looks like we got a hero. On the floor, hero. Or the waitress gets it. John's eyes flick to Sarah, then back to the leader. He gives a tiny, almost imperceptible nod. Then he starts to lower himself, hands raised in surrender. But it is as his knees bend, he explodes. He kicks the leg of his table, sending it flipping through the air at the young thug. The table slams into the man's chest, knocking the wind out of him. Before it even hits the ground, John covers the 10 feet between them. His left hand grabs the man's wrist and twists. A sickening crunch. The gun clatters to the floor. His right hand, fingers stiff, strikes the man's neck. The young thug's eyes roll back and he collapses. It takes less than 2 seconds. Dead silence. The hostages stare, stunned. The quiet man had just dismantled a gunman with the cold efficiency of a machine. The leader and the big man are frozen for a split second. It is all John needs that he snags a heavy glass sugar dispenser. The big man roars and charges. John doesn't run. He waits. As the big man gets close, John hurls the dispenser at his chest, a distraction. As the man flinches, John is on him, ducking under a clumsy swing. He moves inside the man's reach, driving an elbow into his ribs, followed by a rapid series of strikes, palm to the nose, knuckles to the solar plexus. The big man is a raging bull. John is the matador. He grabs the man's gun arm, applies a brutal joint lock, and dislocates the shoulder. The big man howls as the revolver falls. A knee to the head, and the mountain of a man crashes to the floor, point 2 down. Only the leader is left. He is smarter. He has backed away behind the counter, his arrogant smirk replaced by genuine fear. He has seen this before. Not in street thugs. In killers. Who the hell are you? He hisses. John doesn't answer. He kicks the down man's revolver across the floor toward the sheriff. Sheriff, he commands, get the civilians in the kitchen. Brody scrambles for the gun. Desperate, the leader grabs Sarah, pulling her in front of him as a human shield, pressing his pistol to her temple. Don't move. I will kill her. I swear to God. John freezes, his face a mask of cold fury. A hostage, the one thing he feared. Let her go, John says, his voice dangerously quiet. You drop or she dies, the leader screams. John looks at Sarah. Her eyes are terrified, but she gives the slightest shake of her head. A silent message, don't that John's gaze shifts, looking over the leader's shoulder. Now, he shouts that IT is a classic trick, but in the chaos, it works. The leader flinches, half turning. The muzzle of his gun moves an inch from Sarah's head. An inch is an eternity. John dives over a tabletop, plucking a steak knife from it as he moves. He is on his feet as the leader realizes he has been tricked. John throws the knife. It flies straight and true, a silver streak that thuds into the leader's gun hand. He screams in agony, and the pistol drops. Before he can register the pain, John is on him, slamming him back against the counter. The fight is over. The diner is suddenly silent, but for the leader's whimpers and the little girl's soft sobs, the air smells of gunpowder and fear. John holds the man pinned, his chest heaving as the adrenaline dumps. He looks around the room. The student is staring, her face a mix of shock and awe. The father is stirring, his wife beside him, tears of relief on her face. Sheriff Brody is ushering the others to safety. John's eyes find Sarah. She is leaning against the counter, shaken but unharmed. She looks at him, and there is no fear in her eyes now. There is confusion, gratitude, and a deep, unsettling understanding. She isn't looking at a hero. She is looking at a weapon that just chose to point itself in the right direction. He lets the leader slump to the floor. He walks over to the father and kneels. "You are going to be okay," he says, his voice soft now. "You will need stitches." He stands, and his gaze meets Sarah's again. 1,000 questions are in her eyes, questions he can never answer. He gives her a single, sharp nod, a thank you, an apology for the violence he brought into her world. In the distance, the first sirens begin to wail. That sound is a death knell for John's quiet life. There will be police, questions, reports. His face will be on the news. The hero of the diner. The ghost will become a headline. And the other ghosts, the ones from his past, would have a beacon to follow. He cannot let that happen. He turns to the counter and pulls his wallet out, dropping a $20 bill on the tabletop. It is an absurdly normal gesture. A last attempt to be the man he was pretending to be. He looks at Sarah one last time. "You were brave," he whispers. Before she can answer, he turns and walks, not to the front door, but through the swinging doors to the kitchen. He pushes past the terrified cook and out the rear exit. He steps into a grimy alley, the cold air a slap in the face. He pulls up the hood of his sweatshirt, shoves his hands in his pockets, and without a backward glance, melts into the city, a ghost once more. Back inside, police storm the front door. They find 3 incapacitated robbers, a group of terrified but safe hostages, and a shaken waitress. When the lead officer asks Sarah what happened, who did all this, she just shakes her head. She looks toward the empty corner booth at the worn book lying face down next to a cold coffee mug and a $20 bill. "A man," she says, her voice quiet but clear. "He was just a quiet man having his breakfast.